I can't get no. I can't get it all. Alrighty then. So you know how you say you're going to do things, but then you just never get around to doing it? I did say I was going to make more videos. Guess what I never got around to doing?
Really looked into it. I'm just happy to just, I don't know if I feel like doing that. I'm just happy to feed it biscuits. It's got all the nutrition.
So much serenity.
Hey, Peaceniks, how you doing? Jeff, hi. I've been trying to put some stuff together. Hang on. Been trying to put some stuff together, trying to do what I said I was going to do, be who I said I'm going to be, and, you know, gosh darn it, I hope people like me. Anyway, so, like I said, I've been trying to make videos, and guess what I haven't done? Made videos. So I've been planning this one for a little while. I've got like a page of garbage written. It doesn't necessarily mean, well, I mean, it's not necessarily garbage, but it's sort of a cross between bullet points and actual sentences. So when I try and read it, it's not really going to come across the way that I want it to come across. But the reason this is called id is because someone, a doctor of some description, has said there's something about there being three bits to your psyche. Some guy, don't know who. The id, the ego, and the super ego. And I think I've come to the conclusion that the id's meant to be like the anger, the instinctual side of your nature. And I actually think in some people that the id has become the frightened little kid because it never was able to develop these three things that some dude, I don't remember what his name is, he said these things develop at different stages of life. So I'm going to get off my face for a second because I'm going to read, and because I don't like editing, I stopped using a program because it was too expensive and I didn't want to spend the $70 a month paying for it. And I switched to another one, and I'm really slow and really basic. I don't mean basic as in good, I mean basic as in I've got really basic skills in editing, and I find it easier to reprogram stuff. Not with code, I just mean add buttons here and there, you know, because, you know, as Professor Malcolm says, life finds a way. Anyway, so I'm trying to do this live. I'm trying to not edit and things like that, and I don't know how it's working, and I don't know any of that sort of stuff. But I'm going to read, and in order to read, I don't really. It's over here, so I'm not going to be able to be looking up at you. But when I can, when I'm gonna spit some wisdom at you from my noggin, I will turn it back onto this camera. But I've got this weird glitch going where if I have one of my monitors on full screen and I've got that full screen input into so I've got the computer plugged into a splitter. The splitter's plugged into my video switcher, but then it's also plugged into a monitor, so I can use it as a monitor. But it also then runs into my switcher. But when it runs into the switcher, it sort of causes that, which is fun. But then I can still turn on and off other things that disappear into the background. But that's something vaguely interesting. Or we could just go to the 3 background. So I've got the little bookends and the little model server station because I'm a mechanic, and the video projector that's actually a money box, and just the 3 that was bought at a cheap shop and then had some LED lights put in it and some sticky tape and tracing paper, you know, fun things like that. When you've got no budget, or the budget that you've spent on specific things, and those specific things don't necessarily make things look better or give me a decent background. But I've tried to get one. That's part of it. And my third camera's not turned on at the moment because I couldn't be bothered. But now we'll get into it. So sometimes everything is pointless. You work, you go home, you work, you go home, you work, you go home. When at the end of the day,
So much serenity.
there isn't any of that. It's what you're looking for. You're just trying to, you get home at the end of the day, you just want to sit down and absorb the...
So much serenity.
But that doesn't necessarily happen. Then the weekend comes, and many of us have our whole weekends filled with housework, yard work, family stuff. Not that any of it is unimportant, not that any of it isn't enriching for the soul, but sometimes these things take on so much of our time and so much of our mental energy that it just becomes a chore. It just becomes something that we're not looking back to. You know, we just want to sit back, look at the fruits of our labor, and
How's the serenity? How's the serenity?
but that doesn't necessarily happen. Sometimes we just aren't able to do that. So every choice we must make in life, from the mundane to the life-changing, sometimes that just feels too big to contemplate. Sometimes it is way too big to contemplate. Sometimes we just look at these things. And I get up in the morning sometimes, if I didn't have a uniform to wear, I'd basically be screwed. If I didn't have a uniform to wear, I just wouldn't know what to do with myself because, well, what do I wear? Do I wear a ratty old shirt? Do I just put on a new shirt? Because see, like, this has got the neck all stretched out and that doesn't look any good. And I don't even know why I'm wearing it in this video. And now for the rest of the video, because I've made myself aware of the shortcomings of my costume for the evening, now I'm going to be stressed about that because it's a shit shirt. Well, it's actually a batshit crazy shirt, but now I'm going to be stressed about that because how's that going to look? And then I look at this other monitor and oh my God, I haven't shaved and something else is in the wrong position. So my eyes are, and then you can see the thing and that's not in the right spot over there. And the boom arm looks horrible. And that Lego truck's at a bad angle. These are all decisions. These are all decisions that don't necessarily need to be made, that never needed to be made, that we can just work with, we can push forward. But now I see that cable up there, and now that's going to bug the crap out of me. So what to wear? What sort of leaf should I take from high-functioning autistic people? I'm not saying that I am necessarily autistic, but people have said so. There appears to be some Asperger's in our family, and as much as I'd like to sit here and feel the serenity, a lot of the time that's just not what happens in my brain. So have a whole bunch of the same clothes ready so you can just wear the same clothes every single day. That's a decision. That's something that you can pre-plan so you can move ahead with your life, because one of the decisions that you're unable to make, you've now gone, hey, I don't need to make that decision. I've got one set of clothes that looks perfectly all right in that one set of clothes, and I can just put clean stuff on every day. So, you know, if we have an accident, I don't have dirty skivvies on when I get run over by a truck. I mean, I've said it before, well, Dr. Malcolm said it before, and that's, you know, life will find a way. It always finds a way. We can move forward with these things because, you know, in that particular aspect, life will find a way. So this is all in regards to losing weight. This is all in regards to finding a way to condition yourself to live in a specific way, to be able to move forward with your life, to remove decisions from your life. So if you have an empty fridge, there's two choices. Don't eat or order shit in or go and get it. I count them as the same sort of thing. It doesn't really matter. Like, I literally live like a 4-minute walk away from McDonald's and from 2 servos that I can buy crap from 24 hours a day. So eliminating stuff from the fridge won't really have the desired effect. It won't remove a decision. Being really poor might remove that decision, but, you know, I've eaten out of a bin before because, you know, life finds a way. Anyway, life may find a way, but it seems to get in the way far more often. I mean, Dr. Malcolm can piss off. It seems the only conclusion I can come to about life is that sometimes it is actively trying to kill me. Now, I understand that life is not actively trying to kill me except through the passage of time, which kills everything, including the universe. Look up entropy. The law of conservation of matter, the law of conservation of energy. There's only a finite amount of energy in the universe, so eventually it's going to transform itself into something else. And I mean, I won't be around for that because that'll take a very, very long time. But, that's something else I can be worried about if I really choose to. But, there's no denying.
Ours is serenity.
Yeah, so I know it's not actively trying to kill me, but sometimes things feel that way. Anyway, so it poses the internal question, or the eternal question. Internal, eternal. Now, if it's about me and my spiritual being, which may very well be eternal, it's a bit hard to tell sometimes. That's another thing that comes down to choices and beliefs and everything else. Sometimes it's a bit hard to know what the internal choices will be. But there's always
So much serenity.
Anyway, in theory, there are 3 parts to the psyche. Like I said before, some guy said something about it. Some guy came up with the id, which is the instincts, the primitive emotions, desire, anger. The superego, that's the God within, or conscience, or the thing where your morals and your spirituality come from. And the ego, where it all meets in reality and in theory allows one to function as a human being. Functioning as a human being is a strange thing because a lot of the people that I come across in my life don't seem to really function as adult human beings. So does that mean that their id, ego and superego never really developed properly? I don't know, is it fucking participation trophies? I don't know, I'm really not a psychiatrist. And the guy that thought of this, whatever his name is, I can't really remember. Yeah, he might have something to say about that. Anywho, it's I feel much of the time that the instincts without temperance, which is what the superego is for. Oh, see, that's really, really, really bad English. See, I said it's a cross between bullet points and a proper sentence. So our instincts, it's like the fight or flight. Yeah, you run from a situation, or you stand and become a pugilist to try and stave off things. And some people don't necessarily have that. Some people embrace danger or chase danger, or whether it be riding a motorbike really fast or something. But still, there's the part of the person that rides a motorbike really fast that honestly believes they can control the situation. But if you're standing on a train track with your eyes shut and your ears blocked, you know that you're not in control of that situation. So I think a lot of the time our instincts aren't tempered by anything, and therefore we make a lot of bad decisions because what we think are our instincts, like could be my deep-seated what's it called, self-esteem or lack of self-esteem, my unesteemed, I don't know what's I don't know, maybe there's some people that are more learned than me that might be able to tell me, although I did hear that guy had a bit of a sexual thing for his mother, but I don't remember his name. Anyway, it's sort of hard to say. Anywho, so our poor instincts or our lack of connection between our id, our superego, and our ego seems to make us not know when to stop things, whether it be eating or some other kind of addiction. When the consequences of a situation aren't visible to us, when our conscience is meant to kick in and doesn't. When we say shitty things to people. And our fight or flight response kicks in, and for some reason my fight or flight response says, eat food, you'll feel good for 15 seconds, and then you'll feel really bad for eating more food than you need, and then to overcome feeling bad about eating more food, you eat more food and feel good for 15 seconds. It's really, really difficult sometimes. This all comes back to what I've said before about the ever-growing spiral of self-hate and blame. And it might not actually be hate. We might not actually hate ourselves. We just might not like ourselves. Because you can love something and still not like it. It's just a possible thing to do. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So I think some of the things about ourselves we feel indifferent to or ambivalent to, when we really should either have an acute hatred for what we are or what we think we are, or a really strong love for what we are or what we want to be or what we think we should be. Sometimes these things are hard to identify. It's hard to overcome something when you don't actually know what it is. You eat too much. Yeah, but why? Why do you eat too much? And what's too much? Is it that you eat too much, or is it you exercise too little? Is your fat ass sitting on the couch with a sedentary lifestyle? And I'm talking to myself here. Is that the problem, or is it the amount of food that you eat, or is it the food that you choose to eat? What is it? What's the actual problem? The symptom is not necessarily the illness. And I don't know, I'm getting a bit worked up. I need to...
How's the Serenity?
It is absolutely garbage. I wish there was more of it.
So much Serenity.
Yes, you're right. There is a bunch of it. It just doesn't happen to be in the room with me at the moment. All jokes aside, I'll just finish what I was saying. How many of us have excuses for eating, for the sedentariness, the passage of time that's been wasted? And yeah, see, that's the thing that shits me to tears. I'm nearly 50 years old and I've wasted all this time, and I know that I could have done better. There's been so many times that I've worked towards something and I've made the thing that I've been trying to do, I've grabbed by the balls and been dragging myself behind these things. And I've had success. I've lost weight. I've been fitter. I've breathed better. All of these things. And then something in your life changes. I was making daily videos on YouTube on 3 Enzic Films. I was really busy. I was working like 55 hours a week and then doing other stuff and then staying up till like 2-3 in the morning making videos. I was recording them on the way to work and the way home from work. But then as soon as that job disappeared and I said, well, I'm going to make more videos. I'm going to do more stuff. I didn't. The pressure was gone. It was became incredibly unproductive. So I'm not a ist or an ism. There's, other people that would know way more about this. I can't really remember what any of their names are at the moment. I mean, there's one guy the one that came up with the id, ego and super ego thing, the guy whose name I can't remember. But all my point about all of this is, if you put your mind to anything, you can accomplish it. So when I was in the Philippines, when I was in the military, it was in 91. So I had to be 91 because I was stationed in Okinawa at the time. And we did an op in the Philippines. So there was Vernon Wells. I don't have any pictures of Vernon Wells that I can show you because I only just thought of this. So there was Vernon Wells and a guy called Jerry the Golden Boy Trimble or Kimball. I can't remember. He was supposed to be famous. We didn't really know who he was. He was a kickboxing champion, or I don't think MMA existed at the time. He could have been a Muay Thai dude, I don't know, but they were making a B-grade film. I think it was called Stranglehold, and I don't think I've seen it, or I don't even know if it was released. But he had this trite mantra that I know for a fact he'd stolen from someone else, but sometimes things take on a life of their own. It just happens sometimes. Anyway, he said, if you can conceive it and believe it, the body can achieve it. Now, that's not necessarily so, because I'm never winning a fucking marathon, even though I actually, can picture in my brain winning a marathon. But also in my brain, I picture myself as like a 20-year-old. And I don't know, maybe there was...
So much Serenity.
Way back then. It's a bit hard to tell. Can't really remember. Anyway, that's my ramblings for the evening. That's all I've really got to say. We're actually getting a new family member, and we're gonna. I'll introduce you to that family member later in the week. It's a slightly furrier than the one we've been trying to do with the IVF, but it's still a family member, and it'll still be loved in this household. Hopefully it ends up with much better self-esteem than I have. I don't know, maybe I need to just, you know.
So much serenity. How's the serenity?
Yeah, the Serenity's not all that good at the moment. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. If you can't be good at it. If you can't be nice, I don't know, let's pick some other saying to jam in this spot here. Be excellent to yourself, be excellent to each other, and that's all I've got to say about that.
Really looked into it. I'm just happy to just, I don't know if I feel like doing that. I'm just happy to feed it biscuits.
So much serenity.